This is good because I can keep up with comments too.
Yeah. Yay.
Hello, 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 and welcome everybody. We are live. Woohoo!
Yay.
Yeah, technology is supporting us. It's all working. It is working the way it's supposed to. I can even see comments as we chat here. So it's so good. It's so good. Well, if I come back and forth, I can see comments.
Yeah.
So, as always, if you are joining us here live, type in the comments hashtag live, say hi, let us know that you are here. And then if you are watching the replay, type in hashtag replay, and we'll come back and answer all of your questions. It's always fun to watch the replay as if you are here live. So once again, welcome. If you're watching live, hashtag live. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. So if you are new to my world, new here to the New Earth Experience Facebook group, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Shelly Howells, and I am a dragon-hearted transformation warrior. Whoop, whoop! As a channel, seer, oracle, and ascension guide, I help people to transcend their wounding and ascend to their highest timeline. I'm also the creator of the New Earth Mystery School. The New Earth Mystery School is a choose your own adventure training school for New Earth leadership, as well as personal and collective accelerated ascension. In the New Earth Mystery School, you reconnect with yourself as an ascended master and awaken the remembrance of why you incarnated on Earth here and now. You hold the keys to the mysteries that are needed to create the new Earth for the collective. And in this sacred space, you are held in loving, collaborative community while you expand and express your purpose. So I am super excited for our guest today. She is one of our New Earth Mystery School participants, Miss Angie Spartz. Hello, please welcome, 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 and introduce yourself.
Hi. Well, first off, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I always love talking with you, so this is like a treat. Um, yeah, I'm Angie Spartz. I run Phoenix Rising, where I help driven women release the shackles of shoulds and shame so that they can fully love their life. So really kind of targeting those people who, where I was before, which was I had felt like I checked off every single checkbox on that successful life checklist. Like graduated summa cum laude, had the great career, married someone who started a business, running a successful business, kids, house, debt free, and like found myself being like, this is it. Like, shouldn't it feel different? Shouldn't all of this work feel different? Also, it was work. And just was living through a lot of pain, physical, mental, emotional, and had a day where it was a pivotal moment, and I can talk more about that later, but yeah, chose differently, and it's been pretty awesome. So I help women move to that awesome place.
I love it. Yeah. So drop it in the comments, everybody. I remember this. I remember this. Years and years and years ago when it's like everything externally seemed to be perfect. And yet there was that level of dissatisfaction. And I love how you mentioned that like it was work to
Yeah.
maintain that, right? And you
Yeah.
were still experiencing that pain. So congratulations on moving through that, number one. And number two, thank you for supporting other women. And you know, I'm the queen of permission energy.
Yes.
So when you say I help them release the shoulds and the shames, I'm like, girl, yes, yes.
Yes.
You are doing God's work, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because truly, like, every time I've sat down to be like, what do I really want people to feel? And it's empowered, confident, and free. I want women to really know how freaking amazing they are. and how empowered we are and can be. Like we don't always feel that way, but we are. Or, like a lot of the people I work with feel very empowered in certain areas of their life, like super successful in their careers, but maybe are like, why do I feel totally alone in my relationship or unseen or things like that, which is where I was at, like just feeling like I was never heard and never valued, which I
Yeah.
know those are extreme words, never, but yeah, just feeling invisible and not wanting to be invisible anymore. So
You are definitely not invisible anymore. So I love that.
yeah.
Drop it in the comments for us. In fact, I invite our audience here to kind of muscle test or intuitively know on a scale of 1 to 10, how empowered, confident, and free are you right now? That could be eye-opening. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm feeling eights across the board for me right now,
Okay.
which I think is pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, I would say so. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was just doing a quick check on myself. My confidence is at a 9,
nice.
empowered 7,
Okay.
and free, yeah, a 9. So, we're
Yeah. Yeah. We're doing the work. It's
yeah,
pretty
well,
good.
and that's
Yeah.
a good like too. It's different day by day, and it can be different moment by moment too. And that's one thing because you've been with me and helping support me on my continual
Yeah.
growth and evolution. Just that learning to ride the waves and learning that that's part of life. I mean, like I was in such a place before where I have to check off this checklist. I have to do everything right and perfectly to get the outcome I want. So it like had to look like this. And realizing
Yeah.
like life is like we're supposed to have an ebb and flow and a good quote unquote good day, bad day. I don't like to say it that way anymore, but that I know
Yeah.
that's how a lot of people see it. So yeah, but
I
that's
love
all.
that. I love that because that is something that we have been guided to do more of in the New Earth Mystery School, which is to embrace the fullness of humanity. Right?
Yes.
No more spiritual bypassing, no more ignoring low vibration emotions. And one of the things that was really supportive for me, a realization I think that we had in the New Earth Mystery School is when I had the aha. And that was that like we have all the emotions and we actually experience all the emotions and we're very complex. We
Yes.
can experience a lot of emotions. I pulled was it the Eight of Cups? I want to say the Eight of Cups tarot card. And it says, emotional satisfaction isn't enough for you. And I was like, and it was a good day. And I'm like, they are right. I'm having a good day and emotional satisfaction is enough for me
Yeah.
today. And before I jumped into shame, I was like, I get to feel emotionally satisfied and also dissatisfied at the same time.
Yeah, that's that's the key. It's been a crazy experience for me, journey to like be like, oh, yeah, I get to have the both and. I spent
Mm.
years a long time ago working with a counselor who was trying to, like Angie, both and I did a lot of practicing, just saying it out loud and doing that. But that is something that I felt that stepping into, the new earth, or some people call it just learning, growing, elevation, raising vibration, all the different terms for it,
Yeah.
is realizing, like that lesson that was at a head level of both and it's like at a heart level. Oh, I get to embody that and truly sit. I mean, just last week we had some big stuff going on in our family, and I was like, oh yeah, like I'm excited and feeling empowered and also scared and also nervous and also feeling angst and also joyous, like all at once. And to realize, oh yeah, we can hold space for all of those emotions all at once.
I love that. I love that. And I love the work that you do because you have learned how to embody it. And yes, like going from knowing it here to like, oh,
Feeling it, like Every cell of the being. Yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. So you mentioned the new earth, which
Mhm.
is, I love to talk about the new earth and ascending into it. And words are important, right?
Yeah,
Vocabulary, like you said, however you see it yourself.
yeah.
And so I would love to know, I love asking new earth leaders this. What is your vision of the new earth? What would it look like for you when we get, well,
Yeah.
when we
Oh,
get,
sorry. That's my dog. He has an opinion too.
he does.
No, yeah, to me, it's truly that every person is confident, empowered, and free, meaning feeling confident to show up as their full authentic self because they have stepped out of shame and out of those fear-based emotions into the full like love emotions, meaning we're still experiencing the spectrum, but we're not sitting in the quagmire of shame. Like we can experience it for a moment and say, "Oh, you're here. Thank you. Why are you showing up?" I get to feel you and your energy, and now I get to move forward. But that I feel confident, I don't have to mask, I don't have to hide who I am because I see who I am as a gift. And I see that when I show up as who I am, it is truly a gift to everyone else because not only am I equipped with things that might puzzle piece perfectly together with what they need and what their gifts are, but it gives them permission to show up that way. Which that was like astounding to me. Years ago when I started going through like I said, I had been doing therapy, like cognitive behavioral type therapy, which is more a top down approach, thoughts down into the body. And I was starting, but I was into my journey of bottom up, like connecting with the body for the healing and feeling the feelings and moving into that new earth. I made the decision, a conscious decision, that I would start showing up more authentically and speaking to what I actually believed, which was scary as shit some days
I
because
know, I
because
know.
having been raised pretty fundamental Catholic, I had a lot of deconstruction to do and to also have hold that both and that there were some things from growing up that way that were beautiful and there were some things growing up that way that caused a lot of hurt and shame and trauma and like trying to piece apart the two so that I could throw out the bathwater and not the baby and the bathwater and whatever. But it was astounding to me that when I started showing up and speaking my fuller truth, that there were two people in particular that I had known for 14 years who opened up I was like, what? Like, what? Who were like, oh, I see spirits. Like, I'm a medium. And I was like, I have known you for 14 years, but they did not feel they have their own, you know, stories and have been burned by people in the past. So felt not safe until I sent that signal that like, no, 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 it's safe to show up and own who you are. And yeah, that was astounding to me because I was like, I know so much about you and your kids and your family. How did I not know this? So yeah.
And I love that you said that and I know it wasn't a coincidence that you said that they were burned by people in the past.
Yeah.
Hello, witch wound.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe figuratively in this life and literally in another life.
Yeah.
And so I'm seeing another benefit to you showing up authentically, owning your gifts, being confident and free to express that,
Yeah.
confident, empowered, and free to express that truth. That heals the witch wound,
Yeah.
right? Because then it's like people get to see you and nobody is burning you at the stake anymore.
Yeah.
And so it not only inspires people, but it creates safety for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you for doing that because, and you know this, right? The witch wound is one of the biggest wounds that we are called to heal right now so that people can step into their new earth
Yeah.
leadership.
Yeah, and I feel like so like one of the things that I bring to the table when I work with people, and I'm realizing in the New Earth Mystery School too, is that I I'm a very analytical person. You know this.
Yeah.
But I also have this intuitive side, and realizing like, oh, a big part of what I do is bridge the gap between the practical and the woo, or the science and the woo, the analytical mind. And so that's like, and I was just saying that because like with the witch wound, I know some people are like, what is that? And I'm like, well, really, using a different language, it's just the wound of women being accused of like when women try to hold their power,
Yeah.
that they are squashed, that they are accused of things that are not true a lot of times, or that it's twisted, that their gift is twisted into a sin or something they should be ashamed of, and to
Yeah.
step out of that. So yeah.
Mm, I love that definition. It is so expansive because when you speak of the witch wound, a lot of times it feels like it's exclusive to those who are doing, who
Right.
are embracing their intuitive gifts, who are channels, mediums, a little bit psychic, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you just expanded it to like every woman.
Right. Yes, I do really believe it's every
Yes.
woman. I believe that, in because we live in a patriarchy, and so there is a power system and a hierarchy to that.
Yes.
And women have been in the power down position. And that's another, like, so back, circling back to what do I see the new earth as? That's the other thing. Like we're in a hierarchy, power over, power under. So there's this constant fight where we're battling each other instead of trying to connect. And the new earth, I see it as we're healing. The whole purpose of us, in my mind, being able to say, oh, wait, who I am is a gift, and I get to show up that way, is because then we hold our power, we don't wield our power. So we move from this dynamic to side by side, and we have power together. And that's truly actually like, to expand even my vision of the new earth. It's that the purpose of being able to step out of the shame and out of the fear-based emotions is so that we can all connect, women with men with men, like all of us will hear, because, and this goes back into the science, like from social psychology standpoint, we are social creatures. We are designed to be connected, and we have so much disconnection right now. And that is what causes pain, whether it's that we're disconnected from our own emotions, we're disconnected from our own body, or we're disconnected from each other. That creates the pain. And so the new earth is like, know who I am, embrace who I am, feel confident, empowered, and free in that, so I can show up and I can connect in power together with other people.
That is powerful, right? We're talking about power,
Yeah.
and that is incredibly powerful. So I'm going to repeat it again for our audience and see if you felt it, drop it. Yeah, drop some emojis, drop some fire emojis if you felt that when she said, who I am is a gift, because because then we hold our power, we don't wield our power. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I feel like that is something that is really going to resonate, especially with women,
Yeah.
right? Because in the patriarchy, men are in that power position, so maybe they still
Mhm.
want to wield their power.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's a lot
and
of women who, I mean, I have to
yeah,
own, like, I was not in a healthy marriage. It was emotionally abusive. It was not healthy. But I had, like, in my healing process, I had to own my part in that dynamic. And that when I felt very powerless, but the way I tried to feel better was to try to, like, get in that no, 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 listen to me, and like feeling at my wit's end and yelling. Well, that's just playing into this dynamic. And I didn't start feeling better until I just was like, wait, the true power is in releasing
yeah,
what, like, okay, do what you want. I will release attachment to those words you're throwing at me, or I will release attachment to the expectation that you're going to show up any differently than you are. And then that helped me go, wait a second, where am I handing my power away? And I can call that back in, and then I can stand in that. Yeah.
I love that. I love that because it allowed me the opportunity to go and acknowledge, even with my vocabulary there, that I was externalizing what was an internal
Yeah.
thing, right? When I was saying men and women, I made it gendered when in actuality, I feel like that breath of fresh air came from my feminine, who was being given permission to hold my power, not wield my power, because we have all been operating in this system
Yeah.
of hierarchy. And so thank you for the
Yeah.
clarification
Well,
and
both. I mean,
allowing
it's
me.
both. I'm a big too,
Yeah.
like internal, external will reflect internal. And also
Yes.
another theme that I've seen a lot is micro, or the macro reflects the micro. So
Yes.
whatever happens like in a one-on-one, we can see that play out at a cultural level too. But that, which has been very helpful for me, because with so much dissension in our bigger culture right now, like to understand the pattern of what's going on, because I saw that pattern in a one-on-one relationship too.
Yes.
And like you said,
Yes.
like, and then to go, it's kind of a meta thing. It's like, oh, I was having that relationship with myself, and then I was having that relationship with a man in my life, and then, oh, span it out. It's happening at a cultural level, all of that. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. I love that. Which illustrates, right? Which illustrates one of my questions is, how do you feel you embody New Earth leadership? And I feel like this whole discussion has been illuminating how you embody New Earth leadership,
thank you.
which is, I do see you as doing the work for yourself, the inner work, right? As we do the inner work, we are leading by example and also by vibration, by radiating, by doing the inner work creates a
Yeah,
different outer reality.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I feel like a component of that is like showing up differently. It creates the other outer reality, and then turning around and offering a hand to help the people who are coming behind. Not, I don't like to say behind, but like the people who are at a different stage of their journey, and like, so saying no, it is possible, like reassuring, and then you know sitting with them when they just need space held, and then offering tools and guidance when that's what they want, so that they can move that way.
Yes, yes, yes. I absolutely see that. And um what's interesting, right, is on a different stage of their journey, but it's also a journey that you've already taken,
Yeah.
right? That you have already been through. And I feel like this is a part of that connection piece. And this is the social piece that you're talking about, how this is how it works,
Yeah.
right? That the reason I not the reason I went through what I went through was my own personal ascension and soul contract and learning and growth. And bonus, guess what? Now I can support other people who are
Yeah.
going through the same thing. We
Yeah.
can lift them up, give them a seat at the table. And as we lift them up, what do? They become confident, empowered, and free,
Yeah.
and then they lift up other people. So,
Yeah.
yeah, what
Yeah.
it's so fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, I like the image that always comes to my mind is like a trail through the jungle, and like we're either helping bushwhack the way to make it a little bit easier, but then other people still have to like walk the like a deer path through the woods. The more deer that go on it, they have to trample more and more down, but we're kind of like lighting the way, lighting torches, so that it's like, this is the direction, this will help. And then hey, everyone's journey is a little different. If you want to veer off a little and then come back to a different path, go do that. We'll support you in that.
Yeah. Yes, yes. You know me, I'm all about
Yeah,
exploration. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, there's a destination. You're gonna get there. You choose the path, enjoy the scenery, whatever you want, right?
Yeah,
There's no way to mess it up.
yeah.
So I love that. So I would love to hear about a time that you have done that for someone, that you have served as a New Earth leader for maybe one of your clients. Have you seen that effect in them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's been a fascinating journey. A lot of people come to me with physical pain. Like that's the doorway into accessing the emotion underneath, because I
Mhm.
do energy work and also because I said I bridge the woo and the practical. So I do
Yeah.
the energy work, but so I'm certified in different forms of that, but I'm also certified in some like science-backed behavior change, things. And so, yeah, I mean, I've worked one person in particular, she, well, I've worked with both her and her kids. Um,
Mm.
and it's been amazing to watch how she shows up differently for her kids now too, as she feels confident. She's one of those moms. She's amazing. I can tell she cares so deeply. I mean, I feel like most moms care very deeply for their kids, but I could see some of me in her, even like the shame, like, oh, I should have known that, or I should have done it, and so when she would come to me and like, oh, I'm having this pain or I'm having a hard time sleeping or this is coming up, and that's what we use as the entryway to get at what are the emotions underneath causing this, and realizing some of it is old stuff from even her childhood, but it's impacting how she's showing up as a mom because she's projecting that fear onto her kids. And so then when we can bring that to the surface, address it, and then she can have like at-home action items to practice it, then when I've had other sessions with her, she's like, "Oh my gosh, like yeah, I was able to just hold space with my son, and this thing that would have taken days or he maybe wouldn't have slept well, like we just moved through it." So it's just fun to see.
Mm. See, that's another one of those blessings, for lack of other word, benefits, right, of doing this work is the impact that we have on the younger generations, on the future generations. And what mom, speaking for myself, and maybe I'll get emotional, I feel a little bit of it, but like what mom doesn't want to be a better mom for their kids? What mom doesn't, because you know, you talked about how she held space for her son and they moved through it. And
Yeah,
so, first of all, that's building intimacy and connection with her son. And secondly, it is modeling for him how to hold space. And so, you know, we're talking about being a New Earth leader with our clients also. Also, I know that you are a New Earth leader with your kids as
yeah.
well.
Which, oh my gosh, and this popped in my head a couple minutes ago, and I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to share this. Maybe there's someone who needs to hear this in the audience. So now, and then I was like, I don't know. No, I'll share it. Just last week, my son was going through something big with his girlfriend, or really, she was facing something big. And so, his role is to be a support, but also it will affect him. So he needs to be supported too. And this ties into the whole shame, right? Moving from shame. Because one of the things I've had to do in my own healing journey is release how often as I heal, I'm like, oh my God, I repeated that pattern. I traumatized my children. Like having to recognize that things I'm healing from my childhood, like, and it's a lot of people will say it, when you know better, you do better. But there's times I'm like, trying to not live in regret. Like if I could rewind the clock and realizing how this truly is like at a spiritual contract level, it's playing out perfectly designed because watching the way my son was able to show up for his girlfriend, like one of my biggest fears was, are you going to repeat the toxic patterns that happened in your dad's and my relationship? And his dad has some amazing qualities, but isn't very emotionally in tune. So he doesn't have that male example of that, and that male example of holding space for the woman in his life, and I watched like his girlfriend look at him and just say, I really just need a hug right now. And he stood up and just embraced her and sat with her and just held her as long as she needed, let her cry. And she had told me earlier he had been working and she was talking to me talking through some stuff. And I could tell she had, like, her eyes were getting a little red. And I was like, it's okay to cry. Like, that's just energy and, or emotion. It's just energy and motion. Like, let it out. And she was like, yeah, I don't, she goes, well, when Matthew gets home, I'll cry. He has that effect on me, just like, which to me was, oh, he's your safe space. He's holding space for you. And then a day later, he was talking with me and just shared, like, I told him that I noticed that, and I was so impressed with how emotionally in tune and aware he is and how mature he is. I mean, for 19, I'm like, you understand and see things and show up differently than a lot of 40, 50, 60-year-olds. And he said, well, I honestly think a big part of that is because I watched, like, living through what we did. I saw, I learned a lot from seeing the unhealth. And he said, and honestly, I think if I had been raised in a really super healthy family, I wouldn't understand the other side of it and it'd be easier to slip into it. Or he's like, or, like, I wouldn't be able to teach other people how to get through it or to break it down. Because
Mm.
I've had to break it down and I had to watch you break it down to get through it. And it was one of those moments where I was like, oh, yes, yes. Like I was striving
Wow.
to be perfect and protect my kids from everything. And that shelters them sometimes. And I'm not saying go seek out trauma. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying
Right.
we don't have to shame ourselves for not knowing better in the moment. It's when we know better, are we seeking to know better? And when we do know better, do we adjust our behavior? And that's super powerful.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that is so
Yeah, yeah,
powerful.
yeah.
Oh my
Plus, I
gosh.
mean, just as a mom, right? I'm like those. I remember being I live in Minnesota, and they call them ECFE, Early Childhood Family Education. So it's like parent and me classes. And the parent educator once was like, "Yeah, parenting is one of the things that makes it one of the hardest jobs is that you don't get a pat on the back every day. In fact, you're going to have kids tantruming and mad at you, and you're going to just have to hold space and be that, mirror to them, help." And she's like, it's not until, 18, 19, 20 that you're like, oh, okay, we made it to and it's a continual process, right? But just in
Right.
that moment to be like, oh, okay, all the years of pouring the work into it and the love into it, like, yes, they do notice. They do notice.
Mm. That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. And like, that's the energy of the new earth. That's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. It's
Yeah.
so good. It's so good. So I'm wondering, I feel like there are people in our audience who really needed to hear that story, right? Because mom guilt is
Yes.
such a thing, and the shame, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the standards and expectations are so high and conflicting.
Yeah.
And so let me know in the comments for those of you who are watching if that touched your heart the way that it
Yeah.
touched mine and like just it's just so good.
Well,
Yeah.
and also, yeah, just realizing too, stepping back in perspective, oh, their perspective could be very, very different. Like, because that was
Yeah.
my other son. I have three sons, but one of my other sons, a couple years after our divorce, and it was not an easy divorce. It was not good. And he looked at me and he was like, you know, sometimes I feel bad for my friends. And I said, you do? Why? And he's like, because they don't have you and dad for parents. And I was like, In my head, I was like, don't show it. I'm known for like my face, I can't hide anything. But in my head, I was like, did you not just live through the same 2 years that I did? Like, what? And all the years prior to that? And he's like, no. I mean, I really think you and dad are the perfect parents for me. Like, dad gets how I think, like mechanical stuff, all this stuff. And like, this was funny. And he goes, and you like teach me all that emotion stuff. But like the fact that he could step back
Yeah,
and see, I was like, dang, I can learn a lot from you too. Because you can see who we are and you accept what we are able to provide you and how we're able to show up. And you can see where that fits with what you need in those moments, even when it's hard.
that's beautiful. I also love how he recognized, right? Because I feel like the wounds that we have from our parents are when we have unmet needs.
Yeah.
We're not loved the way that we want to. And I think it's really beautiful that he was able to recognize, like, he's not putting it all on one person.
Yeah.
It's like, I have this need and and I get it here, and that's beautiful. And then I have this other need and I get it here, and I think that's beautiful. I think that's an excellent skill set for him to have, because men in particular are programmed to rely on their partners,
Mhm.
their romantic partners, for their, for their everything.
Yeah.
And it sounds
Yeah.
like he's not going to be that
That's
way necessarily,
Yeah, and
right?
that's a skill set I cannot take credit for. That is not one I trained in him. He was born with that. Like he
Yeah.
one the very first Reiki person I ever went to, she did a session for him and she looked at me and she's like, "You are aware he's like a very old soul." And I was like, "Yes, when I am willing to learn from him, I learn a lot." I
Oh,
learn a lot.
I love that. I love that. That's beautiful. I love the turn that our conversation has
Yeah.
taken. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit. You mentioned with your clients that they often come to you and the pain is the
Yeah.
doorway. So tell us a little bit about your topic today, learning the language of the body to
Yeah.
move from that pain into connection that you were sharing with
Yeah,
us.
yeah, it really is like starting to shift the paradigm or the thought process to be instead of be in battle with our body, to connect with our body and see that I like to say, like, our body is trying to be our best friend. And are we open to that bid for connection? And so, what I mean by that is the physical symptoms, I'll always tell my clients, they are real. They're real. You know,
Right.
injuries, they're real. If you get sick, it's real. And you could be energetically set up to get injured because you're out of balance, because you're disconnected from your body, or you're hearing the messages, but you're letting the shame or the shoulds push you in a different direction than the way your body's trying to guide you. So I can throw an example out is, well, let me rewind before I do the example. And learning the language of the body is recognizing that the way the pain or the sickness shows up has messages in and of itself. So, um, skin irritations have a message, but if that skin irritation shows up on the neck, it's going to be a slightly different message than if it shows up on the stomach. And because the underlying emotion or the underlying belief is different, it's related to a different chakra energy, right?
Right,
And
right.
so, like a really recent example, well, an older example for me, I have TMJ, I forget what it stands for, transmandibular joint, something. It's jaw joint, like clench my teeth due to stress. I was told when I developed it, oh, this is due to stress. And I was told, oh, it's because you're overbooked. Because, I mean, I was that person who would say that burn the candle at both ends. That's being an underachiever. Create more ends. Like, burn it all. And so I was overbooked. That was legit. But it wasn't until I started my deep healing and like really getting into the energy healing and the bottom up, connecting with my body, that I realized it's a specific type of stress that triggers this. and it is the stress of being unheard. Because it's me
Mhm.
then feeling like, what the hell is the fucking point of even speaking up? I might as well bite my words. So then I have all this that I feel like needs to come out, and I'm holding it all in, and it creates tension in my jaw. So now my jaw is way better than it used to be. But if it flares, like I woke up last week, woke up from sleeping aware that I was clenching my jaw. So it was like, oh, where in my life is there a place in my life where I'm not being heard? Is it with another person or is it with myself? Is like, am I getting an intuitive hit and I'm ignoring it? Is there someone in my life that I feel, ooh, I really should be saying, I'm trying to not say should, but like I'm getting a prompting to say something and I'm not, like, so that they know me better and I'm letting fear shut me down from that and disconnect
Mhm.
me from my body and from that person. And so, yeah, so I sat down to journal on that and to do some of what I would do with a client on that. And oh, lo and behold, something came forward. And I was like, so then I could say, instead of being like, oh my God, now my jaw hurts. What the hell is going on? Blah, 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 and trying to attack the problem with exercises and da 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 and getting frustrated that it's not working. I could take a few minutes and connect with my body and say, hey, I'm here. I'm sorry I've been ignoring you. I'm sorry that it had to get to this level. What message do you have for me? And to just like even spend time sitting with it. How does it feel if I had to assign a color? What would it be? Because hey, I want to get to know you and I want to be friends with you. And yeah, and it's led to some huge um, shifts for me and for my clients. Like I had one client who had had back pain for 12 to 13 years, had an injury that was sports related, legit injury, absolutely. But then, and they only needed 2 sessions. Some people need more because their journey is piece by piece by piece, and some people are ready for a big, big shift. It's just depends on where they're at, where their support system is at. But yeah, they reached out a week after their first session and said, I had my first pain-free day in 12 years. And
Wow.
and then they were like, I want another session. And then I didn't hear from them for a year. And a year later, I was like, hey, by the way, how's your back doing? Oh my gosh, I should have led with that. I've been totally pain-free. And it was all related to just emotion from childhood that they hadn't felt safe to fully process. And if we don't feel safe to process it, or we don't have the tools to allow the emotion or know how to, we'll just hold on to it. And he was holding on to it, holding on to it, holding on to it, and it led to an injury. Because then it's
Right.
almost like the body being like, please stop ignoring me. And my client didn't ignore it, but had been like, I've tried cortisone shots, I've tried PT, I've tried, blah, 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 all this stuff. Nothing's touching it. Well, because what really needed to be heard was the message.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yes.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes it's that combination. I'm a big, huge proponent of draw from all the sources the best the sources have. Absolutely, we need medical support.
Mhm.
And sometimes there's just something missing from it too. That holistic approach. So,
Yes. Yes, I'm a good example of that too. So one of the things that I love that you said is having that conversation with your body and saying, I'm sorry it had to get to this level, right? Because your body is trying to communicate, and that is what the body does, is like it starts out maybe a whisper and then
yeah,
hey, knocking a little bit more,
yeah,
and the longer you are unable to have that connection with it, as long as you're not understanding, it does escalate.
yeah.
It does escalate, right? And my experience with Lyme disease,
Hmm.
right? Where, and I love that you talked about the holistic approach. When I came down with severe chronic Lyme disease, it lasted 11 years. I threw the kitchen sink at it, right? I had a holistic doctor who was doing all the herbalism, the medications,
Yeah.
all the things, and I was missing the emotional part.
Yeah.
And so once I heard the book, what is it? Not The Body Keeps the Score.
Feelings buried alive never die.
Yes, because you've heard this
Yeah,
story.
yeah, yeah.
Right, right. Feelings buried alive never die. And it was the light bulb. It is what brought me to energy healing. And also, though, also because, like you said, we want a holistic approach. Yes, energy healing did not automatically heal my life, the Lyme disease that I was experiencing. It created space for me to attract other things that then supported me in healing my body.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
nothing worked. Nothing worked. When people ask me for my protocol, I'm like, if you get to the root of the problem, then
Yeah.
any protocol will work. And if you don't get to the root of the problem, no protocol will work.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what's like it's the both and. It's so awesome and exciting and also frustrating. Because it's like,
Yes.
oh, you just have to get to the root. Everyone's root might be different. They might be related though, so you can use similar tools. And that
Yeah.
I love that you say that too, because even like from a holistic perspective, mind, body, spirit, like with healing journey, I've noticed one thing that's been challenging for me in, like I want to create a program and I do have a program to help people understand chakras, but like quote unquote healing protocol, I'm like, it's hard to just say, oh, start here, because some people have to start mind first.
Yeah.
Other people have to start connecting with their body first. Other people have to just, what even is an emotion? I mean, some people, it's a spiritual, they need to, the first step for their healing is more spiritual. And so everyone's journey might look very similar, have ultimately, if you look at the whole journey, look
Right.
very similar, but it might take a different order or it might jump around a bit. It's not necessarily going to be linear.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I'm actually, can I throw this out here? Do I
Yeah.
have permission to just share what I see?
Yeah.
A little precognition if you want, and however you would like. I can see you create because you have all of this knowledge and your own intuitive gifts, and this is how you do things. I can see you creating your own modality where you have these four pieces in place, and then you're just like, okay, which one do we start with?
Yeah.
And you muscle test or intuitively know, okay, we're going with this, and now
Yeah.
and that's going to be the doorway, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you do work with a lot of people with hip pain, and I can see that the doorways expanding. I can see.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. I
Yeah.
love it, Angie. Yeah, because you're already doing it. You're already doing it.
Yeah.
So, good stuff. Good stuff. Well, after this beautiful conversation, I'm sure that there are people in our audience, right? Because we attract people who
Yeah.
vibe and need,
Yeah.
it's that piece of the puzzle, right?
Yeah.
Connecting people who need each other. How can people find you? How can people work with you? Where can they find you? How can they work with you?
Yeah, they can find me, like I'm on Facebook at my Angie Spartz, just my name. And my website is angiespartz.com. That's Spartz. I am currently working on it, updating it. But I also do have a free tool. That's another way they can get, into my ecosystem and be able to then get an email from me, so they'll have that information. And that's at just freetool.angiespartz.com. And what that free tool is a symptom to need decoder. So it lists out some common symptoms that people might have and the common need that's not being met. So like jaw
Mm,
issues, I need to be heard. I need to be safe to be heard. Or, if it's something in the low back or the legs, like I need to feel safe or I need to know that I get to have needs, that type of thing. So, yeah.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I love that. I love that, especially after our conversation, right? Because I'm sure, I know for me, if you're like me in the audience, I'm like, well, I've got this lower back thing. What
Yeah.
does that mean? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I've got ringing in the ears. What could that be? Although
yeah,
I've figured out my doorbell with that. Or like, oh,
yeah,
I've got TMJ, right?
yeah,
So this would be a great tool to have, a symptom decoder.
yeah,
Symptom need decoder. I love that.
yeah,
So would you mind coming back here and dropping that link in the comments
yeah. I'll
when we're
absolutely do
done
that.
here?
Yep,
And then
yep,
that'll be super easy for everybody to just click
yep,
and go there.
yep.
Perfect. Thank you. That's very generous.
Oh,
I
you're
appreciate
welcome.
it. Okay, so now, as you know, I like to do something fun for my
Yeah.
guests as a thank you for such a fun, informative, beautiful conversation. So you are familiar with what I do, an intuitive gift reading, entourage reading, seer reading, channeled message, or light language upgrade, or something else. You know, if you
Yeah,
throw
yeah,
a
yeah.
curveball at me, I can do something as
Yeah.
ridiculous as well.
I think let's do intuitive gifts today. And if you're open to it, like, what I'm like, well, Conscious Creator is starting. And
Mhm.
so the gift that will help me the most as I go into Conscious Creator and the new life that's created from it.
Okay, so it came forward immediately, and I don't
Okay.
feel like this will be a surprise because we are talking about conscious creator. And what is conscious creator but like creating the life that you love, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's Midas.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. And so kind of so for our audience, Midas, it's the that everything you touch turns to gold. It is the Jupiter energy of luck and success and money and abundance and um where like you're the type of person that people are jealous of, or they're like, oh, everything always works out for her, right? Yeah, so that's the gift that is coming through. And along with that, you get two gifts,
Oh,
okay?
yay.
And so one is if you develop one, the other will follow,
Okay.
okay? And it's the gift of faith.
Hmm.
So if you take your gift of faith to the next level, then that is how you will level up your Midas.
Yep.
Okay. And faith is having the knowing that everything is working out for your highest good. It is holding on to the hope that because in conscious creator, we go into the quantum field, right?
Yeah.
And we create it. It is there, it is done. And so having the faith, knowing, like we were talking about, there's a difference between knowing here and knowing in the
Yep.
body.
Yep.
If you can know in your body that it's done, okay, then the Midas will flow
Yep.
because there won't be the tension, there won't be the resistance of, oh, what do I have to do to make it happen?
Yep.
Or checking your watch, it's not here yet, right? That kind of thing.
Yes. Yes. That
Yeah.
all makes sense. I don't know if you remember, Jolly, our audience will know. A couple of years ago, you did an intuitive gift, like a full session for me, which was awesome. So, by the way, if you're considering it, do it. I also do intuitive gift sessions, but yeah, you said at that time that I had the gift of Midas, and I was like, "Are you sure?" And you were like, "Yes, but you're only utilizing it 40%." Like you had told me that percentage before I even said that, but um. Yeah, and as I've thought on that and kind of reflected on it, I realize there are certain areas of my life that I've just always, no, it'll be fine. And 100% the resources, like the Midas gift, whether it's being the actual money or showing up as support from people or whatever, 100% show up. I have always, to the core of my being, had the belief, like, whatever we need, like, whatever I need to heal, I will be provided for. And in my kids' healing journey, there were times that our bills for their healing were like a mortgage payment, and it was
Wow.
always covered. And sometimes that money showed up in very miraculous ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so realizing like, oh, I just need to take those gifts and expand it to all areas of my life.
Exactly, exactly. And I love that you're coming into Conscious Creator and that this is showing up for you to work on because um, the only reason why it's not expanded in those other areas yet is because of, a handful of those limiting beliefs.
Oh, those pesky limiting beliefs.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Although
And
it is kind of fun in a
all
healing
the
process
reason.
to like identify them and be like, oh, there you are.
I know, right? It's yes, yes, yes.
And
It's a
also kind of like the whole thing, and thank you, because I know you kept me safe for a while. I've had to learn that too, like, oh, it served a purpose. You really
yeah.
did keep me safe and you were a tool. And now I'm in a different place and I don't need this tool anymore.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that compassion for yourself and for the process, right?
Yeah.
Because it really is, all of it is beautifully, perfectly orchestrated.
Yeah.
Even though our ego is like, I just want to be done.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but
So right.
it is perfect. So I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, we are starting Conscious Creator this week on Thursday. I'm inviting everyone who is watching, come and make miracles happen. It is so much fun. And Angie, because you are in the New Earth Mystery School, you've had a little bit of a sneak peek already, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Would you like to share your experience with us?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. The most recent time, because it's been a couple times we've gone into the quantum recently, and the most recent time, the the most impactful thing, and I know I shared this with the group after, was that it was the first time in my life that I stepped into, like, I felt the energy in every cell of my being that I am valuable simply because I am, simply because I exist. Not related to even my gifts, not related to like what I'm producing, just like my presence is enough. And and to be like, oh yeah, 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 like I've known that, and I have moments of like, oh, there I feel it, but that was like every part of my being just felt it. And I've noticed that in the days since then, yeah, like I might have moments where I'm like, ooh, there's that old energy. Oh, but I have that awareness, and I can then be like, nope, I'm just putting my hand on my heart and remember, I'm tapping back into that energy and I'm in that new energy and I just get to be in that new energy. So,
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. I love that so much. And it's it's something that like I can describe it all day long. And until you experience it for yourself, yeah, no, it's permanent. It's
yeah,
like I said, we restructure reality. It's a brand new reality, and
yeah,
you never have to go back. And I have noticed with you and other people, it's the gift that keeps on giving. It doesn't stop once the shift happens. It initiates
yeah,
momentum and it
yeah,
keeps going and going and going.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It leads to other like ahas because it goes
Yeah.
back to that finding the root. Because if you
Yeah.
find, like, if you in the quantum can go, oh, identify something, create a new reality, then all of a sudden, oh, this was tied to that, this was tied to that, this was, oh, but if we pull it out at the root, the whole reality shifts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that.
It reminds me of like when I went through training with you for intuitive gifts. You said some you can ask for them and some can be you can download, boom, like a
Yeah.
switch, and some you're going to develop. And going into the quantum feels like the light switch. It's just and another way to say, like a never go back moment. Like, oh, I'm never going to go,
Yeah.
like, oh, how did I ever not know this? Now I know it. That type of thing.
Yes, yes, yes. I agree. I agree. And maybe it's just because I don't know, it's like it exists.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like me saying, "Oh, my water bottle doesn't exist." Well, that's dumb. I know it exists. Right? You know what I
Oh, yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there,
so it's
yeah,
like now my value is the same thing as my water bottle. It's like I
yeah,
see it and it's
yeah,
as it exists. I know it. I feel it. It
yeah,
simply becomes reality,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't unsee things once
Right.
they've seen, you can't unsee it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, beautiful. So if anybody would, if you who are watching are feeling called, come and play with us. We are going to have such a good time. Drop it in the comments or DM me. Let me know that you would like to chat about it. No obligation. And I'll make sure to get you the details and more information about that. Okay, well, Angie, time flew by with you. This
It
was so
always
much
seems to
fun.
fly by, but I know I feel like I could talk to you all day long.
That is true. That is true. That would be very easy to do.
Yeah.
So once again, thank you so much for such a beautiful conversation. Those of you watching, if you got a lot out of this, if you had a good time, drop some fire emojis, maybe some Phoenix emojis in the comments as a thank you to Angie for sharing her information today. And again, thank you, Angie.
Yes, thank you, Shelley. And thank you everyone who took time to watch.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.